Furniture rental startup Furlenco raises 20 crore rupees from Black Soil Capital in venture debt. Black Soil Capital is a sector-agnostic alternative credit platform.
Google and Facebook threaten Australia to shut down the search engine and news feed in response to a proposed news code passed by the government. If passed, this law could force digital platforms to pay news media companies for content. Australia's Prime Minister says they don't respond to threats.
In a first for Europe, Google and a French publishers lobby agreed to a copyright framework under which Google will pay news publishers for content online. Paves the way for individual licensing agreements for French publications.
The richest man on earth, Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk announces a donation of $100 million towards a prize for the best carbon capture technology. This with an aim to reduce emissions into the atmosphere.
Facebook refers its decision to indefinitely suspend the account of former U.S. President Donald Trump to its independent oversight board. Trump will remain suspended until a decision is made.
Well, those were the headlines we're tracking for you. Hello and welcome to Startup Street. I'm Mugdha Warrior and with me are Shruti Mishra and Megha Vishwanath. Well, right now joining us is the newest unicorn on the block, and in fact the first unicorn of 2021, Digit Insurance, which has touched a valuation of $1.9 billion this week after a fundraise from existing investors. Joining us is Kamesh Goyal, Chairman of Digit Insurance. Mr. Goyal, welcome on the show. And this fundraise comes exactly a year after you raised a big round of $84 million in January of 2020. Can you tell us what is the rationale for this funding and what will the new funds be used for?
So thanks, Mugdha. In insurance, solvency requirements are linked to the premium which one writes. So this year, by December, which is in 9 months, Digit has grown by almost 35% in premium income. And as all of us are expecting the economy to bounce back in the next 12 to 15 months, we felt that maybe we should raise some additional capital so that we can write the business and then the solvency requirements would still be met. So this is purely from a solvency perspective.
Okay, this is meant mainly for solvency. But tell us a little bit about the fact that, existing investors have invested. What does the shareholding look like now? Of course, Fairfax is your biggest investor. Can you just give us a quick breakup of who holds how much?
Sure. So, Mugdha, Digit was actually floated by Digit Infoworks, which is the holding company where Fairfax and I are shareholders. That company started with 100%. Last year, we actually diluted slightly less than 10% with our 3 private equity investors, and 1% was actually diluted in favor of our own management team and some friends. After this, we are diluting 1% more. So roughly 88% would be owned by the holding company. 11% will be held by 3 private equity investors, and 1% will be held by our management team.
Okay. Yes, in fact, last year when we had spoken after your funding round, you had said that several Digit employees themselves had invested in the funding. Have they invested in this round as well?
So the discussion is going on, Mugdha, and I think they will. But we intend to now do this in April. Not now, simply because last quarter is always big in insurance for business. So we felt that maybe let's do this for our own team and our employees in April and not do it now.
Okay, so there'll be a little bit more of funding in April. And just one last question about the funding before we move on to the growth. Last year, cricketer Virat Kohli and actor Anushka Sharma had invested in the company. Did they participate again?
No, actually, this was more a private placement where we have only offered the shares to the 3 private equity investors. So as of now, no one else has actually invested.
Okay, okay. So coming to the growth of Digit Insurance, you closed December 2020 with rupees 2,150 crore of premium, which was a 33% growth over last year. You also said that you have garnered profits in all the 3 quarters of FY21 so far. So can you tell us what are the factors that have really helped Digit in growing so fast?
Sure. So, Mukta, the premium which we have done actually is about 2,200 crores. There is a way in which industry numbers are actually published, and that is where it is 2,150. The growth essentially this year has come in fire business. Last year, from 1st of January, the industry had moved towards a minimum, I would say, rates based on the claim experience. So due to that, this portfolio for the industry has grown by about 35% or so. For Digit, the growth rate has been about 100%. Secondly, I think one reason for big growth is this COVID-related health insurance products we had come out with. So we essentially came out with 3 kinds of COVID products in the last financial year, or in this last nine months. That has contributed substantially, almost 160 crores, I would say, to the growth of the company. And lastly, I think in October to December, the motor business has also started picking up. So these 3 lines of business have really contributed in the 9 months. But if you really look at the whole period of 9 months, then I would say it is essentially COVID-related products and fire insurance.
Okay. Could you give us a little more details on the COVID-related products? What are the claims that have been made so far? How much has been settled?
So I think when we look at the COVID indemnity policy or all kinds of COVID products, roughly we were intimated about 5,800 claims. I would say barring 300, all other claims have actually been settled. I think from November onwards, I would say the flow of COVID-related claims has been a bit down. And more people now are getting discharged from the hospital. So the claim settlement has become much faster now compared to what it was, especially in the month of September and early October, where the number of claims intimated per day was quite high. Overall, I would say compared to non-COVID claims, what industry has seen, and this is true for every player in the industry, including Digit. Previously, an average claim size for hospitalization would be about 50,000 rupees, while in case of COVID, the average claim size has been about ₹1 lakh. So COVID has substantially higher average claim size. And I think going forward, it seems that even non-COVID claims will actually also see an increase of about 20-25% in the average claim. So overall, I think health insurance going forward will see a slightly increasing loss ratio for everyone in the industry.
Okay, so you're saying there could be an increase in non-COVID claims as well. But Mr. Goyal, we are running out of time. But thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations once again on the unicorn status. With that, it's over to you, Megha.
Well, it's just week 3 of 2021 and we already have a unicorn. Let's see what else is lined up. But now it's time to put focus on a platform that offers online higher education programs for working professionals. We're talking about Upgrad, that is now looking to expand to the APAC market, with countries looking to pivot towards new digital and industry 4.0 skills in response to the rising unemployment. Upgrad believes that this is a big opportunity for the venture and is set out to build localized online courses for these particular regions. Joining me right now to talk about the recent foray and the blueprint for 2021 is Mayank Kumar, co-founder and MD of Upgrad, and the newly appointed CEO of APAC, Zubin Gandhevia. Zubin, I'm going to start this interview with you. The edtech sector was clearly right on top of the leaderboard, right in the middle of the pandemic. Let me go ahead and ask you in terms of what convinced you to move away from the entertainment sector, which is where you've been predominantly focused on when it comes to your career, and take up this role in an edtech company.
Sure. Well, first, thank you for having us on. To answer you, it was pretty straightforward. I've been telling stories for the last 25, 30 years of my life and entertaining people, making them laugh, cry, be happy, sad, etc. This is another form of storytelling, but for a higher purpose. And I think we have a big storm coming. You already alluded to it. If you look at the World Bank report, some 85 million people will lose jobs over the next 5 years. But 97 million new jobs will be created. It's just that the people who lose their jobs don't necessarily have the skills to take those new jobs. And I think a partnership between players like Upgrad, governments around educational institutions and corporates can truly change the lives of tens of millions of people around the world. So the opportunity to do that at scale in the company of entrepreneurs like Ronnie Screwvala, Mayank and Falgun was the reason why I took this job.
Okay, then let's bring Mayank on at this point in this conversation. Mayank, this big opportunity that we're talking about, I'm going to quantify this for the benefit of our viewers. You claim to have grown 100% in the last 9 months from the start of the financial year and are targeting 2,500 crore rupees in revenue run rate for FY22. I also believe that you recorded the highest ever revenue in a single quarter in Q3 FY20. How do you plan on keeping up with this momentum?
No, I think, yes, the numbers are correct. And in fact, in the last 9 months, we have doubled. In the last 3 quarters, we have doubled. In the last 4 quarters, we have quadrupled. So there is a sustainable growth that we have been seeing right now in the market. I think overall, we do see that this is as Zubin mentioned, a new phenomena that is emerging. So there's a lot more traction coming in from professionals and enterprises to upskill their employees and individually. And that push is getting more and more prevalent and more common as we are sort of progressing into venturing deeper into the market. In the last 2-3 quarters, essentially what happened also was that a lot of folks, while they were at home, had that ability of actually taking out time and investing in themselves. In fact, that shift that we are seeing is actually continuing even today. Not many more learners are coming to us. And today, as we enter into Q4, which is again an appraisal quarter, we do see many more professionals coming in and taking up our program. So I think those changes and the macro trend that we are seeing, the shift amongst employees and employers, is helping us sort of scale and grow, along with sort of adding more and more programs. And just to add to that, I think the place as we are sort of moving and venturing into, what ends up happening is that every quarter is the best quarter and every quarter is the highest quarter.
Well, I hope you're able to continue that spree. But Zubin, you have scaled up many entertainment businesses successfully in the past. And you spoke about Upgrad as a company that's in the business of storytelling for a higher purpose. So let me ask you, what's your game plan to be able to scale up Upgrad in the APAC region?
So look, I'm lucky that the India business and the team that has created it is pretty phenomenal. And they've created an amazing product that clearly has positive outcomes for learners way beyond industry standards. So we've already got a great starting point. We can take that technology, those wireframes and the expertise and the DNA culture of the organization now and export it to various parts of the world. But we have to do it in a manner that is locally relevant in every market. So we are going to be careful about how we go about it. We are not going to take one product and dump it into various markets. We are going to go market by market and have a localized approach in every market, building on our strengths from India. So our game plan is pretty straightforward. You go into a market, you see what the consumer requires. The problems of working professionals so far from what I've seen are quite similar in every market because disruption is similar. So we have a starting point advantage in that we can take a lot of our courses, localize them, present them locally, sell them locally, and build a big, deep, scaled business in each market.
All right, so the problem is quite similar, but the solution has to be differentiated, and that's going to be the key. If I can sum up what you just said, Mayank, Upgrad has also been on an acquisition spree. You spoke about adding further courses, but I also believe that you're looking now at recruitments via M&A, and as I said, you've been on an acquisition spree. Can we expect more such announcements in 2021, more consolidation in the sector going forward?
No, absolutely. We definitely feel that there are a lot of great entrepreneurs doing some amazing stuff in their own sort of niches, in their own areas. And our vision overall for Upgrad is to become a lifelong learning partner. So from the time you are perhaps, let's say, age of 18, till the time you are the age of 58, 60 years old, can Upgrad come in and offer different programs at different point in time? So our recruit acquisition recently was to ensure that any learner coming in finds a career outcome. But as we go along, you will definitely hear more news of acquisition and consolidation by Upgrad, essentially to achieve the final end objective of being a lifelong learning provider.
All right. I also believe that you're looking at further expansion in the Middle East, UK and the United States. As and when that happens, we'll bring you guys back on the show to take us over those plans as well. Mayank and Zubin, thank you so much for being with us on Startup Street. With that, we will have to slip into a quick break. But on the other side, India's first digital file storage startup, Digiboxx, has received an endorsement from Niti Aayog, which launched the platform on the lines for Go Vocal for Local. Stay tuned for that story, which is coming up on the other side.
Welcome back to Startup Street. It is time for our special segment, Elevator Pitch, where we give startup founders a chance to share their story. On Elevator Pitch today, we have Digiboxx. Founded in October 2020, Gurgaon-based Digiboxx claims to be India's first digital file storage, sharing and management product for businesses and individual users. The startup has received endorsement from Niti Aayog, which launched the platform on the lines of Go Vocal for Local. To know more about the venture, joining me now is Arnab Mitra, CEO of Digiboxx. Arnab, welcome to the show. The first question, the platform consists of a file sharing feature called InstaShare. Take me through its offerings.
It's a typical heavy file sharing platform, which allows you to share heavy files up to 2 gigabytes, and it's also OTP verified, so it essentially follows the TRAI guidelines. The best thing about InstaShare, though, is that it actually keeps your file alive for almost 45 days. So typically every other competitor of heavy file share platforms would have nothing more than 7 days, the lifetime, and we have about 45 days. Okay. Otherwise, it's pretty similar to every other product.
Okay. Since inception in October last year, what is the kind of traction you've generated? Take me through the business growth numbers.
Okay, sure. Though we kind of, came into existence in October, but our launch was on 22nd December, exactly a month back from today.
Okay.
And we have received almost 500,000 registrations since then, and we have almost 45,000 people who have kind of paid for the services. And I think we are subscribed by 15 times more than we thought we would be subscribed.
Okay, so subscribe 15 times more. That's good news. Arnab, you claim to be the most cost-effective way to share photos, videos, and other files with family and friends. What is your offering for a business? Why should a business pick you and not one of the larger players?
Yeah, so it's actually a very interesting question, and we kind of get this pretty often in the last 1 month. I think the great thing about us is that we are kind of trying to make businesses go paperless, and also have a complete control on the files and folders and critical files, the way the kind of employees or the team members of an organization kind of interact with the platform. I mean, I think any entrepreneur or any businesses in the last 10 months of COVID, they realize that there's absolutely no control on the machines and the kind of data that's been created. What Digiboxx does amazingly well is kind of, it gives you an overall ability to control the way files are shared and the way files are stored. And as an organization, you would actually have far better control over the entire ecosystem.
Okay, picking up on that, Arnab, as a store in India product, how competitive is your pricing, and what sets you apart from these global players like, Google, Amazon, and Dropbox? Okay,
so first things first, I think we are for the country, which essentially mean that our abilities to probably, try and, be a lot more emotional about our country's purpose is a lot higher than everybody else. I would like to believe that. So it's a national pride and national product.
Sure.
Indians, by and large, to probably have a
Arnab, we lost you there. Arnab, we lost you there for a minute. Can you just repeat what you just said? How you plan to compete with the global players?
Yeah, correct. So actually, we are working with government organizations and data centers of the country, which are owned by Indians, trying to create an ecosystem which allows us to provide world-class product better than Indian price.
Okay, and can you take me through the pricing? How competitive is it?
From the nearest competitor, we are probably 1/4 the cost. So I don't think we have competition in pricing, but honestly, we don't really want to play on the pricing as such.
Okay.
I think Indians typically believe to, kind of be a little more cost sensitive than others. So that's really the price point. But we would like to play at the quality and the simplicity and the fact that we have got almost 8 Indian languages which we use to operate.
Okay. Arnab, quickly, you've bootstrapped this venture along with your partners Vivek Suchanti of Concept PR and Concept Communication, as well as Ashish Jalan. Any plans of raising your first funding? And if yes, then when and how much?
Okay, so we are actually, yes, we bootstrapped this through our ways, and we've been working on it for almost 18 months. We wanted to launch it in August. It got pushed a little bit. We want to raise our first round of over $100 million. And because it's a kind of cash, kind of sensitive business, and we want to, kind of focus on it over the next 6 to 12 months' time.
Okay, so plans to raise $100 million. Arnab, we wish you the very best with your future plans at Digiboxx. Thank you so much for joining us today. With that, Mugdha, it's over to you. Give us a roundup of all the startup news that happened this week.
Absolutely. It's been a busy week for startups when it comes to funding. So here's a weekly report card. Now, the Indian startup ecosystem saw $152 million in funding this week across 18 deals as per data from Venture Intelligence. Some of the large deals include Dunzo's $40 million fundraise led by Google and Lightbox, the $30 million funding in agri-tech startup Dehat led by Process Ventures, and the $15 million funding led by Salesforce in HR tech startup Darwinbox. Well, we also got a brand new unicorn this week in Digit Insurance, which touched a valuation of $1.9 billion post a fundraise of $19 million from existing investors. With that, the total funding so far in 2021 stands at $643 million. So a lot of funding activity and already a unicorn this year. Megha and Shruti, we have to wait and watch if we add more unicorns in the coming weeks. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC TV 18.